Hello and welcome. And today we are talking about tradition in development. And that ties into one of the most significant days in our calendar, International Day for Women. You know, somebody once said, I think it was Sheikh Bagaya, who says women are God's partners in creation on earth. Now, I think that responsibility alone on anybody is not easy, and it must be a very, very big privilege too. God's partners in creation on earth. And without women, this world wouldn't be. And it's been said time and time again that every society's enlightenment, advancement is almost equal to how enlightened and how advanced the women in that society are. The more empowered they are, the more educated they are, it will automatically transcend to the society. So it is a day that we shouldn't take lightly at all. However, it ties into something quite a little bit controversial and embarrassing which happened, and we'll talk about it during the show. My name is Nana Ansakwa. This is PM Express, and when I come back, I'm talking to one of those ladies who fought the fight to make a day like this possible, and indeed how far women have come from the days of the old to today. Good Lord. Well, hello and welcome. And we're looking at tradition and development. We are looking at women in general. And I know as soon as you talk about women empowerment, there are some men who says, no, this, I know my rights for it here. Don't even go there. However, women in Ghana in particular have done really, really, really well. And they have fought the fight and stood their ground, even though there's still, the road ahead, but I still say they've covered a lot. And today I want us to look at how much they've covered, rather than the usual, are there any women in parliament, are there any women? I think they've done a lot, and that's what we're going to comment today. With me in studio is Ms. Edna Kuma, who's the Executive Director for African Women Lawyers. And there will be quite some strong women joining us on the phone as we go along. Thank you very much, Edna.
Thank you.
And Edna, how was the day marked today?
Well, today we were invited by the Gender Ministry. It's a long name, I just call it Gender Ministry. So we were all there, and we commemorated the day by trying to bring a highlight on the interstate succession bill, which has been in Parliament since 2009.
Okay.
So there was a panel talk to tell the women how far the law, what brought about the promulgation of the law. We had Nana Konadu Rawlings talked about how the law started all over, how the fathers came to her and said there should be a law for women. In fact, that's how the genesis. We were surprised, pleasantly surprised. So they have to go and see Judge Justice Aniji Agi, who started it all with them, and the former president, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Joe Rawlings. So they came up with the PNDC law 111. So we had all that, and it was very interesting. And then we had Professor SKB Asante to also come in with the traditional arena, and then the panel about the law that has helped women and children so long, for 30 years, and the reasons for the necessity to bring another law altogether, because there are so many amendments to the law.
Thank
so that's
you.
what we did today.
That's
it was very interesting. Yes.
Very good. We'll come back and continue that conversation, but there's another one which is a little bit different from this story, all tied into women. And on the phone is Irene Abochi Ahin, who is executive member of FIDA. Hello, Irene.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, and nice of you to join us on the phone.
Yes, thank you.
Irene, we're looking at International Women's Day, and ironically, you just helped champion or fight, an issue that happened in Abam, and a lady who refuses widowhood rights, and the chief allegedly says, well, then I'll banish you from the town. I mean, could you give us an insight as to how it happened, and particularly what sort of widowhood rights was she supposed to go through?
Yeah, thank you very much for the concern. And let me use the opportunity to wish all women a very happy International Women's Day. A news reaching us that's about 2 days ago, as you rightly said, a chief in a village called Abam in the eastern region instructed a lady to undergo widow's rights. The details of the rights were not clearly stated to us, but they involve things that she, as a person, was not in favor of.
Okay.
I heard a portion of it was for her to take a walk around the town with some people to devise certain things at certain portions all the way to the chief's house, among others. And this is very important for us to discuss because some of the rights are very, very dangerous to the health and the welfare of women. Some include, not in this particular woman's situation, but we have information that sometimes the dead body will be washed and the dirty water will be given to the woman to drink. And if she refuses, it means that she has something to do with the death of the person. Some are asked to go and sleep with people they find on the streets. I have a client who went through that particular ritual, among other very disturbing rituals. So when we receive news that a woman is being asked to undergo certain rituals and she is not in favor of it, and for that reason alone, the chief has threatened that he's going to banish her. In fact, I spoke to the chief myself, and he was threatening until we informed Joy FM, and then they called the chief, and fortunately for us, the regional commander was listening, and he assisted us and gave us the divisional commander's number. We contacted him, that is the one at Samankesi. So they contacted the chief and they invited them today to the police station. When they reached the police station, having realized the enormity of the problem and the pressure, the chief now backed down and started saying that he didn't want to banish the woman, among other issues. The long and short of this story is that thanks to Joy FM and thanks to the police, there is sanity as I speak to you right now. If we hadn't intervened at this time, subjects, when you are commanded by your chief, you don't have a choice. You're supposed to carry it out. So violence and other things that we were fearing that would have taken place was avoided due to the swift action of Joy FM and the police in the region. So the woman is now safe. Unlike yesterday, she was trapped in her house. She could not come out or interact with anybody. So, celebrating this day, it is okay for us to draw attention to problems that women go through. This is a woman who has lived all her life in this village. She has properties there. She has children. She has a social groups, or she deals with a lot of people. And after the death of her husband, she's in pain. She's mourning. Now you will come and be asking her to perform certain rituals. If she's not in favor of those rituals, then you now banish her completely in this day and age.
Irene, let me ask you a question that you should be asking me. I mean, even though I don't agree with it, is it not like the Abusiapenyi of the family who would concern themselves with this ritual? I mean, what's the chief's business in going to somebody's house to say, look, perform widowhood rites?
Yes, Nana, I know you know more about traditions more than I do. In fact, one of the questions the police officer asked him was that he said he was once in Accra. And they asked him that when you were in Accra, assuming that you lose your wife, will the chief of Mungwa or Teshi or come to your house and ask you to perform ritual? He could not answer. So, and through that, I also educated him when I spoke to him on the phone that women have rights that must be respected. Unlike the past, where rights of women are not respected. They now have constitutionally guaranteed right for respect. They're not supposed to be taken through rituals. We have all these rights enshrined in our constitution. Even the Domestic Violence Act abhors violence and abusing women psychologically, emotionally, and what have you. And lots more laws that frown on such activities. So I think that he was educated. But the twist to the story is that now the chief himself has backed down, but indirectly his nephews and some of the subjects are threatening the woman indirectly.
I mean, but are these things, is this a one-off or are these prevalent? I mean, do they happen?
Oh, yeah. In fact, this problem of widowhood rights, a lot of women keep quiet about it because of the humiliating circumstances. I was telling you that my own client told me that she was asked to go and sleep with a mad woman so that she can sack the bad spirits and her husband's spirits from her. Otherwise, she will die. And she said she, out of fear, met a taxi driver who did not even say anything to her, but having that at the back of her mind that she needed to sleep with a stranger or a mad person, she gave herself. This is not a story that I have heard. This is a client that I have, that she had to sleep with a known person, a taxi driver on the street, just to suck the husband's spirit and bad spirit from her. So these are things that women go through. If I hadn't contacted or haven't interacted with this particular woman, I wouldn't know. This is happening to women across Ghana, and some of them just keep quiet because of the humiliation and the circumstances under which the rituals are taken. Take it for example, probably the simplest form is for a woman to wear a black cloth for maybe 2 years. Why? But if it's about men, maybe they just wear it for 3 months. Why is it that a woman will have to wear black cloth for 2 years, for the same earring, the same pants, the same shoe for 2 years? Why? So if I feel that I am not comfortable with those rituals, nobody should force me.
Irene, hold on for me 1 second. I have your sister in studio, Miss Edna Kuma. So at least she comments on some of these goings on a day like this. What would be your comments on this issue?
Thank you very much, my sister, for giving us an elaborate issue at hand. And thanks for all the intervention. But I thought that there's a law on widowhood rights. It's been criminalized. So if you go through the Consolidated Criminal Code, it's there. So I was surprised that they couldn't get to the police immediately. But it's just as well they got to you, and then the police had it. Sometimes people get to the press early now because they're desperate. So there's a law on widowhood rights. Yeah. So and the police are supposed to take action. And I think the commander knew, that's why he intervened. And I was at FIDA for a long time, legal aid officer, the executive director, before I moved on. And we've had a lot of cases, but we've never had this kind of interaction. And it's all over the place, widowhood rights. And we tell women, just like the intestate succession law, it's an aftermath of the intestate succession when your husband died. These are all atrocities that women go through, apart from the property sharing, where hitherto the family will come for the property. But now, because of the law, it's no more done. I can't say it's no more done. The law is there. So if you know you're right, you rush to the police station. So every woman, we keep on telling them that we've done a lot of education on police. So whatever it is that you don't understand, it's your first stop shop. Just go to them and tell them what it is. They'll be able to call somebody, and then they'll do the right thing, at least to protect your life and to know what is at stake. So no woman should be there. This widowhood right things, we've heard it so many times. Sometimes a woman will be left alone to stay with the cops the whole night. In certain districts, during those days that they were doing the waykeeping, and there's an assumption that you killed your husband anyway. If the man dies, you kill the man. So they want to punish you. And then some women in certain districts to shave their hair. They go to the sea for the old women who lost their husband to bath. All kinds of atrocities. But it's all come under the widowhood right. And any dehumanizing widowhood right is abolished under the law. So I think women should be mindful of that and report any issue like that to the police where they are protected and these things cannot go on. I know there are a few cases where women feel they have to do it to appease the husband's ghost or something out of deferment or fear or I don't know what it is. But the evil issue is that if you think you can handle it, just go to the police and then they'll know what to do.
I mean, but with all enlightenment, I mean, the times in which we live in, I mean, I'm very traditionalist, I believe in tradition, but I mean, is there no somewhere we draw the line?
People don't seem to be able to know the difference between tradition and custom. You see, people don't know the difference between culture and religion. Like culture, the dances, the apparel, and we are all wearing very nice local, material for our dressing. We are wearing these beautiful beads. These are all culture. Dancing. I like when they dance all these drums, the kete, the bobo, where I come from, and I really love them. But people don't seem to, especially when you are from a village, there's so much exorcism. I don't know whether they're so much afraid or because they are so close to nature, they seem to believe anything that they are told. But if they are daring to be able to come out of the box, they'll be able to do away with all those things.
Hello, Irene, do I still have you?
Yes, I'm here.
I mean, in most cases, you tend to find like the elderly women in the household who sort of are, leading or, urging, this widow to go through the widowhood rights. You would think it would be the woman rather to say, oh, no, don't go through it. But it's the woman who sort of leads the crusade.
Can I come in there?
Okay, Edna wants to come in, yeah.
You see, it's their traditional role. When you go to the FGM, you wonder why another old woman will use this unclean knife to cut a little baby. It's their traditional role. And we realize that they're also making money. It was their means of income. So taking it from them was becoming a problem. So in our neighboring countries where it was so prevalent, they realized, even in Ghana, I hear they're asking them, I think the gender ministry was even giving them other means of employment or income. So they are letting go of the FGM practice. It's their traditional role. And it was like, tradition says that women should perform it because, of course, they have to bath you and do all those things, and they don't want somebody touching somebody's wife. And so these are roles assigned to women. And who are women to say no? And instead of them saying no, they also succumb to it. But increasingly, as we said, women are getting out of it. But of course, this woman, being in the village setting, will not be even supported by the other women. You'll be surprised if you should go and find out. And so it's very difficult. So we can even talk to the queen mothers and the chiefs like you to tell your colleagues that it is not right. In fact, we keep on saying, we lawyers keep on saying that, well, not all lawyers, female lawyers, we keep on saying that the traditional religion is the bane of women. Because everything that comes against the woman, you say it's tradition. Everything. And you don't seem to find any provision in tradition that helps women and children. For that matter, widows and children. There's nothing. The customary law, when the man dies, what is there for you? If PNDC law, one hadn't come in. The matrilineal side, you are there at the mercy of the successor of family head. They'll throw you out of the house. They'll come and take everything and sack you. And the courts were even giving judgments and rulings on those lines. So PNDC law one came. And the patrilineal side too, an uncle or a brother will take over, although you are entitled to your father's properties. So both ways, it was unhelpful. So the custom and tradition, people are saying we shouldn't, the chief say we shouldn't touch it. It's dynamic, it changes, so we better start changing. And if it's not changed, the law, so come and reform them. Like PNDC law, it was so innovative. Oh, it was fought in the court, a lot of the lawyers were angry, but at the end of it, they realized it made a lot of sense. Because who is going to take care of the woman and the children? The state hasn't made any provision to take care, except from the estate of the disease. And you are sucking them from that provision. Who will take care of them? Then they have to go to wafa or uncle, and they have to be servant of, oh goodness. So these are the issues. So our tradition and the customary practices have not helped women.
Is it because it's not thought properly? Because in the olden days when you took over your brother's inheritance, it was because maybe he was a fisherman or he was a farmer. And then I did a research, and the thing was that you had to take a responsibility. So if there was a farm and the man died, if there's another man in the house, you came to help on the farm so that the woman could look after the children. But as time goes along, it's been corrupted to say, oh, well, either I marry you or you leave the house.
I was even going to say
but
that.
that's not,
yes.
that's not the...
And they will add that woman to his own wife and creating problems. There are certain cultures, they will insist that if you didn't marry them, they will take care of the children. So the women were forced to marry them reluctantly. How do you go and marry your husband's younger brother? You know, and he has his wife. I mean, it wasn't well. But if that's the only way your children could be looked after, yes. But now that they have voices and the other alternative means, no, they won't do that anymore. You know, they're always taking advantage of women. I'm afraid to say so, Nana. And tradition has never...
I think women are coming out, you
Yeah.
know, out and very strong now. Irene, do I still have you?
Yes, please.
Good, good. Irene, despite all these challenges that you know Abam threw in, this Abam village threw in the last few days, but generally I think women have done very well in the struggle of empowering women.
Yes, I think so. We have come a very long way. We have come from days where women are not even educated. We have to launch Send Your Girls Start to School campaign, among others. So we have come a very long way. Even with the law that my sister is talking about, that passage, that law also assisted a lot in terms of dissolution of properties. So we have come a very long way. But what is hindering the process is our cultural practices. We are yet to change our mindsets about women empowerment. I feel that some people feel threatened that if women are empowered, it means they will be taking over their positions, which is not true. What that only means is that we will all progress and develop in a peaceful atmosphere. There will be no abuse, because there is no way we will call for domination of women over men. And neither are we calling for domination of men over women. We want every citizen of Ghana to be respected. So as we speak, the respect that is accorded women is still not acceptable. Women are usually seen as second-class citizens. If we want to do discussions, women are not considered as people that are intelligent enough to take over the matter. All kinds of excuses are used to take away responsibilities from them. And we are saying that if women are not respected, if their social rights, political rights, and other rights are not respected, we are going to move at a very slow pace in terms of the development of the nation. If we want to develop as a nation, the 51%, that is what women are made up of in Ghana, must be brought on board in a way that will show seriousness, that in a way that will show respect and dignify them as the Constitution has guaranteed. It is a constitutional guarantee of, it's a right guaranteed under the Constitution not to do anything that will affect the dignity of a woman or of a man. So if you are engaging in activities that reduces or tampers with the person's dignity, that instruction or local law or custom is unconstitutional. I think that it is not enough to have the laws on our books. The people that need the law the most, the people that need to understand and appreciate the law, needs to be educated on the laws. So we can have the laws in our books, but that law is as good as not existing at all. But if we can organize for and interact with our chiefs and educate them on these rights, I think that it will go a long way to bring the needed respect that the women need and for us to have a better Ghana.
Thank you very much, Irene, for that. Thank you very much. But I see, I've kept quiet, but if you go back to what traditions were, they put women in a very special place, and I feel sometimes women were overprotected. That, oh, you know, don't go there, it was too heavy, don't go there, it was too rowdy. And I think it wasn't because they thought you couldn't do anything, but you know, you could, because it was much softer and it was a much safer. In Edumasa, when I walk in and they announce that I'm coming, women are not allowed to get up because they give birth to kings. So that's how much respect, you know, is given to women. Remember, you know, sorry, you know, and so but I think it's just that as time goes along, we seem to corrupt it, and then we make laws to our own advantage. But if we were to go back to the letter, there was quite a lot of respect, and I mean, the Queen Mother was there. Only person who decides the heir of the throne, so she's like the #1 vote. And when it all comes to you know, in a meeting, you need to find the Abrewatia in the house to consult with her. So we traditionally we put women somewhere. It's, I don't know, it's somewhere along the line that I think some selfish ones came in and changed the whole rules. But I'm going to take a break here and come back. Edna's already shaking her head. I'm going to take a break and come here. But traditionally, we have respected women. We're coming back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and it's been an interesting subject. And as for subject of women, it's very important. They should be placed very high on our priority, because that's how the world goes round, through women. And but we want to look at this PNDC Law 111, which basically means that if you are living with your husband and your husband passed, if there was no will, the woman then becomes automatic inheritor. Because I know back in the days, like you said earlier, they will barge in the house, kick you out. How has it been received?
Yes, quite well, since 1985, when it was passed into law. And there were a lot of challenges, because women didn't know their rights then, but we did a lot of advocacy. So a lot of women at the Federal Legal Aid Center, a lot of women were coming, flocking, and even some men, because the law did not say wife, it said spouse. Spouse means both ways. And increasingly, see that a lot of women have property. So their husbands are also now coming in to also claim what is theirs. And the law, you know, originally had some way fraction, 1/3, 1/16, and it was difficult to implement those days.
So if you had a house, what do you do?
The law said that the wife or wives and children should share the house. So if the woman was married and had about 2 children with the spouse, and the spouse died, and the man, after at the burial, that's what happens. Other children surface. They were also entitled, and that woman is supposed to share the house with all of them. You know, it was a little bit difficult, you know. And there were things like school-going children, they were not provided under the law.
Okay.
And then polygamous relationships were not recognized at all, as if it was only matrimonial. I think originally that's what it was. But again, who should take care of all those children that you had outside your marriage? It should be from your estate. So increasing the law is relying more on the nuclear family than the extended family, because you can see that the extended family are shying away. Of course, they're not getting that much anymore. So the responsibility is on the surviving spouse. So the law is increasingly making the surviving spouse responsible for the estate and for the upkeep of the children.
So that's what the new. So what's the new
that's
law
what
different?
The old law, yeah. The new law kind of is taking care of the fraction now. It's percentages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, percentages, so it's easier. Because what happened was that the fraction make it very difficult. And the wife and the children to one property, so the property was sold. Maybe there were so many houses, but they said they should take one house. And it wasn't very clear, but now the new law is talking about the clarity of the issues. They can decide to take this one, and the rest they can distribute it. And then it's also talked about jointly acquired properties, like if a spouses jointly acquire the property and one of them passes, does it mean that the same thing applies? No. That means the surviving spouse takes more than what the law. You know, there are a lot of new things that are coming in. The dependent children in the home, like their children in the house, and the spouse who takes care of them. So the new bill is taking care of all the gaps in the PNDC Law 111, which was passed in 1985. You see, and the amendments are very forward-looking. You know, so that's what they're saying, that they should pass the whole, because the amendments will be too many.
Okay.
So they must bring in a new law altogether. And that's what we'll be battling with since 2009 for Parliament to pass. And we hope that before the end of this year, it will be passed, because every 4 years, it goes back to the Attorney General Department. And then it will have to start the process again through Cabinet and then to Parliament. And then when after 4 years, Parliament goes on recess or a new Parliament comes, they have to start, you know? And it's not very healthy.
I mean, you were talking about, I mean, you know, like people with the Islam faith, you know,
Yes.
can marry up to 6. So
Yes.
then.
But the new bill takes care of all that, about the polygamy issue.
Yes.
Because the old bill, which is the PNDC law 111, I mean, did not make provision for polygamous marriages.
Oh.
But again, it's interesting to talk about the Muslim. You know, they say they have the Quran. So, but with dialogue with them, we realize we had a lot of training with the Muslims, the imams and the women. And now they agree that if you think the Quran is not satisfied, you can come under the law. Hitherto, they don't want to have anything to do with these laws. But they are now increasingly saying that, well, if you think the Quran does not satisfy you, go to the law court and get your share. So more women are, oh yes. Yeah.
And they'll be covered under the law?
Oh, they'll be covered. Because it just shows that it's not that straightforward for them either. Because it's more of a religious law. And the law, the PNDC, the laws of the land override every religious law or every customary practice or every traditional practice. The law, the statute law, the constitution overrides all of them. So wherever it is that it comes into conflict with the law overrides it. So if they are distributing something according to the religious law, for that matter the Quran, and you don't like it, you go to the law and the law supersedes. They'll take a decision and it will override that one. And they must see to that. Either to the woman be frowned upon and you know the consequences. But now I think they are opening up to it and they understand.
Let me go on the phone and speak to Angela Jabnabwaji, who's President, ARC Foundation.
Executive Director.
Executive Director, ARC Foundation, and who's done a lot of work helping women, and you know, she's done good. And she's been, you know, one of the people who've championed the cause of women to get to a day like this. Angela, you're welcome. Hello, Angela. Hello. Audio, do I have her? Okay, I don't have Angela. We'll try and call Angela back. But let me go back to my original. That, you know, in our original customs, we used to revere women a lot.
That's what you, before the break.
Yeah, before the break. And it is somewhere along the line where we lost it. Now, I don't know whether it is schooling, our so-called enlightenment, or whatever it is, but somewhere along the line, we must have lost it.
Okay.
No.
We keep on saying that it was just patronizing women.
I think I've got Angela back. Hello, Angela, have I got you back? Hello? Audio, help me out. Do I have her? Audio, do I have her? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, good, Angela, I have you now.
Yes, you're still saying.
I am shouting, see if it's any better.
Well, yeah, I think it's a little better.
Okay. Well, let me say, you know, Happy Women's Day to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let me introduce you again. I'm speaking to Angela Jomrabaji, who is the Executive Director for ARC Foundation, a foundation that really helps women who are in need and in trouble. Well, Angela, first of all, I want to congratulate you because I think women have come quite a long way in fighting for the cause of women, in Ghana in particular.
Nana, can you repeat that?
I said I was congratulating you in your fight because women have come a long way, particularly women in Ghana.
Yes, thank you very much for your congratulations.
And then, sure, and then the next thing, I wanted you to comment, a little brief comment on the Abam situation. This woman that had to go through the widowhood rights, who decided that, listen, I don't think this is right for me, and called for help. What would be your comments on that?
Well, I got the impression this evening that she had received some help from the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Units in the Eastern region. And I was very glad about that because I think that's what we want our state institutions to do, to be responsive when there is a cry for help and the media draws attention to these issues and so on. That's the kind of action that we want to see. But even more important is the preventive action, which comes through sensitization, letting people know their legal rights, letting them know which institutions can help them, and then generally sensitizing the society about taking up issues of persons in distress or abused persons or vulnerable persons and things like that. So I'm happy about that. The only thing is that we don't want to think that it's because of the media attention that the chief has backed down, because we don't know what's going to happen to the next widow. I think the more important aspect of it is to actually get these chiefs to understand, and I'm happy that you're a chief also, but it's important that we find a way of getting those who have direct oversight over our chiefdoms and kingdoms, to understand what they can do and not do, especially regarding the rights of vulnerable populations, among them, especially women, children, persons with disability, and mentally challenged, and all of those things.
Awo says I should tell you that she's taking you to Dumasa to go and educate the woman, so you have a date.
Hello,
there.
Nana.
I said, Awo says I should tell you that she's taking you to Dumasa to go and educate the woman.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You are so faint.
I said, Awo says I should tell you she's taking you to Dumasa to go and educate the woman.
Oh, road trip to Dumasa. I'm excited already.
And
that will be wonderful.
Yes, we'll look forward to seeing you. Now, while you're on there, I have Ms. Edna Kuma in studio. And they've been deliberating on the new version of PNDC Law 111.
That's right.
Don't you think that maybe government is interfering too much in family business?
Oh, not at all. We've always had a problem where we've had this, what we call the public-private dichotomy, where the presumption is that a man's kingdom is his home, and nobody has to come into that place to interfere with his kingdom or his chiefdom or his manor. But the fact of the matter is that things happen within the private sphere that need public prying, where you need to take off that public-private dichotomy so that you can enter into the space and ensure that people are protected within that space. Okay? And that's why it's important that we understand this is not about interference. It is really about regulating a space in which there are people who need protection from the state.
Okay.
That's what makes the difference.
Okay. And the new revised bill I hear now looks after polygamous relationships. Now I know anytime you hear polygamy, the Christian faith get all irate, and certain churches won't. So how do we balance this then?
About polygamy and
polygamous relationship. The Christian faith, especially you, the empowered women, are not very in favor of polygamous relationships. So, so your husband pops his clock, and then all of a sudden, there are ladies coming up to say, well, I want a piece of the house. Surely you're not going to be happy.
No, certainly not. But, I think it's important to make the distinctions. This is really not about the Christian faith and the customary law as such, but rather it's about the customary law that we've all come to meet, which is potentially polygamous, and state law. Okay? So we have three systems of marriage in this country. Under the Mohammedans ordinance, the CAP 127, which is the marriage ordinance kind of marriage. And then we also have the traditional system of marriage. Okay? So you have a situation where you're trying to find a unified way through legal means to arrange for issues like property rights and inheritance rights that cuts across all of these groups, in a sense, multi-ethnic, multicultural kind of legal regime that enables all of us living in this republic called Ghana to enjoy certain rights equally, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's a hard thing to negotiate, because you're looking at different systems of practices, different systems of regulations, and it's very hard to regulate it. But that's why we have governments and we have the state, okay? And the state is supposed to step into some of these things where they find that without coming in, there wouldn't be protection for its own citizens, which it has sworn to do under its constitution.
Okay, hold on there for Angela. Hold on there for me. Let me come to studio to Edna. Edna, now, you see, I then say, well, it means it's going to encourage men to say, well, it doesn't matter if I go out with all these women. If I'm not there anymore, one day, they all have a stake in my, because if I write a will, my wife is going to see that, hey, who is this person? You're giving this estate to. But if I don't, you have an equal share of the estate. I mean, is there a law that is going to encourage polygamy?
No, it isn't. When you read the Intestate Succession Bill, 2013, it gives a very different provision that the distribution of the property at the death of the husband per se is entirely new. Like wife A, who started with you, seems to get the bigger share. Wife 2, what is left, you share it together. So they come in series. Mm-hmm. So wife 3, then you share it together. So if you are a woman and you think you want to be wife 3, then you know what you are going to get after that. Mm. And the man too, the first one takes so much, the second one takes so much. Are you going to wait till everything is whittled away? So it's sort of give and take. So if you want, then you know what is on the table. Then nobody's cheated. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's on the table. So it's not a way where that my wife will be provided for, so I can go and marry so many women. Because with the provision that we have, it's not very encouraging to have too many wives. Yes, it's not very encouraging. But if the system will come to meet, and hitherto there's no provision for them at all. So this provision has been made in such a way that everybody gets some, but the wife A gets something because she started with it. So if you have this building with her, of course, it's between the two of you, so you take that one. If wife B comes, she's not going to be part of that building. But then if you have a second building, then the three of you share that third building. If the wife 3 comes, then you must be sure you are making enough properties to let wife B and C to enjoy.
So wife 3 may lose out completely?
Well, I don't know. There may be something for all of you to share. So that's what the new bill is bringing to cater for them.
What if the man has, let's say, 2 houses and 4 wives?
Well, the law will go into that and see how best they can distribute it for the polygamous marriage. Because all of them are supposed to share that one house. And it's not, equity is not equitable. Because somebody came first and labored with the man more. Why does he share with somebody who came 5 years or 2 years later? And that was the idea behind all these polygamous provisions. A lot of thinking and a lot of work have gone into it. And the law is saying that it's prudent for the first wife to get adequate provision, and the second one to get what he wants, and the third one. And in a way, if you realize that this thing does not help you very much, I think you may not go for the 4th or the 5th, Maybe you just settle with 1 or 2 or whatever you want.
Hello, Angela, do I have you?
Yes, you do.
Well, this law is making it seem as if, wife number 2, 3, and 4, you're going at your own cost, as if it's as a punishment. Maybe their custom or their religion allows them to do it. So in distributing, why are they being penalized?
Well, you see, because there's a certain thinking behind it. People get married 10, 15 years, 20 years down the line. The man suddenly says, I want to feel younger again or whatever, goes in for another wife. The first one has suffered with the man, okay? Mm-hmm. The first one may have contributed to the making of the property. These days, contribution is not even just about the monetary contribution that you bring, but the services that you have offered, in raising the children, in giving advice, in warming his food. All of those things legally are part of what is seen as contribution now. So somebody comes in much later, and then you have to find an equitable way of ensuring that the person is not cut off, and yet you don't also want to sort of take away from the one who has suffered the most with the man. You see, Nana, at the end of this, at the baseline, and I think I mentioned this today someplace, of this is that we have an equal system in the world. It's unfortunate. That is what has come after human beings, have gone through so many years of, messing up our own lives and so on and so forth. But really, frankly, if things were equal, we wouldn't have all these polygamous systems running alongside and so on and so forth. We say it's part of our culture and so on. But monogamy is also part of our culture. We've had in the past men marrying one wife and sticking to one wife, and some choose to marry three. But this is not allowed where women are concerned in our culture.
But
so there are things that we create that, become problems for us in the end, in a sense. Okay. Now I'm not saying it means that polygamous marriages are bad. I'm just saying it has many disadvantages, and also the fact that the disadvantages almost always the women are the ones who get the short end of the stick.
I mean,
all right.
It looks as if this
you
law.
Also remember that even in trying to correct some of these things and make it more equitable, you have a situation where because women cannot marry more than one wife and one husband under our customary systems, if a man marries 3 women who are very industrious and they predecease him without making a will, he is going to have a share in their property, each one of the wives. This will never happen to any woman. So you see, at the base, we are dealing with discriminatory systems in our social setup. And we are trying to find ways in which we make life a little more equitable for everybody. Men, women, first wife, second wife, third wife. And it's difficult. But that's because we have complicated ourselves as human beings. Okay? So, yes, sometimes this is the kind of thinking that goes behind some of these social pieces of legislation. And frankly, it's not easy to negotiate.
Angela, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to take a break, and then when I come back, it feels as if this law was made by people who lean towards monogamy relationship rather than polygamous relationship. I want to find out if there was a Muslim round in the room when they were passing this law, and what was the contribution. We'll move. I'm coming straight back. Well, PNDC Law 111 and revised, and I must admit it's a good law. But I just feel it's just tilted towards people who believe more in monogamous relationship than, polygamous relationship. And as we were talking, I got a message from home. It says, see how you're excited about polygamy. You dare try it and see.
Oh my.
that's your sister. Anyway, that was just for a laugh.
I agree with them. Come also because you're a chief. No excuses.
This law seems to be tilted towards, people who believe in monogamous.
Yes, today when the former First Lady, Mrs. Konadu Ajiman-Rawlings, when she said it, she was saying that that's what it was. It was basically to protect women. Because when they started, they realized that the matrimonial, the Cap 127 didn't make any provision for even women married under ordinance. And the customary law marriages too, there was no provision for them. So initially, that was what it was, because those were the marriages that were available then. So it was basically for those.
Okay.
But then when the law came to the Attorney General's department, they realized that no, all the laws in Ghana are gender neutral. So they have to find a way to help the vulnerable. Why are you leaving out the polygamy? That's why you said that the first bill talked that any woman, in fact, not any woman, the children from the so-called women after the ordinance marriage would co-enjoy. But other women who had sort of customary law marriages and 3 or 4, then they should share one house. I think that was the thinking. But increasingly, we realized that, as Angela said, we've complicated so many things, you see. So we have to make the law that would satisfy all these. That's why you find it amazing that people are complaining about the cohabitation, which is to do with property rights, but that's another bunch of law.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, to help women who find themselves in relationships 5, 10, 20 years down the line, the man has refused to marry them. What happens to them? They've acquired the property together. They've had children together. Of course, the children will inherit their father or whatever. But what happens to the woman? All these years and toil and care, they go with nothing. But our society is not prepared. We are not ready for that one yet. So maybe we'll shelve that one and revisit it again. But again, I think that the law, as I said, tries to protect everybody.
Yeah.
So polygamy may not be very much in the interest of women, because the first one gets relegated to the background and no woman wants to do that. And the younger one also comes. And then he thinks he's now the new law. You know, it's an unequal, in fact, CEDAW, the international law on women, that's the convention on the discrimination against, all the kinds of discrimination against women, frowns upon polygamy. It does. But African countries, it's difficult for us to deal with it because of the Islam and traditional religion. Because it says that under polygamy, women don't have the bargaining rights. Because although there are so many women and one man, the man takes all the advantage. You'll be amazed. The women, although there are 3, they get to be, I mean, the man seems to have advantage over all of them. As Angela said, if something should happen to all the 3, she gains a better advantage of their properties because she takes from here, takes from here, takes from here, and gets more, you see. So although there's polygamy, the women still suffer. That's why CEDAW is saying that polygamy should be eradicated. But how are we going to do it? Because our traditional religion, you know, supports polygamy. It's potentially, our traditional marriage is potentially polygamous.
So should all these marriages be registered? I mean...
Yes, there's a law, registration of customary marriages, which came after PNDC Law 11 in 1985. Again, people refuse to register. The men will not go and register. They say, why are you telling us to register? They won't. You know? So it's the same ordinance men who will go and register their wives. The one man, one wife people. But those who marry a lot, they won't register the women. Because tomorrow he doesn't want you anymore. You want to go for another. You see what it is. But under that law, the mind behind it, or the spirit behind it was that. So that if that woman, you decide to leave her, she'll be able to get some property from you. But the men didn't want to register. They've done something like, okay, if the man cannot go, a family member should go and register. That also failed. Because the marriages were supposed to be registered and the divorce too was supposed to be registered under that law. But I don't think it's been implemented. And I'm not saying due to the lack of the effectiveness of the law, but the district assemblies and the provisions and all those things was a problem. Because, you know, most of the people under that regime are not, I'm not saying they are not well educated, they are not very well much versed with the law. So the district assemblies have not been helpful because you have to sign so many things. The paperwork was too much, so it discouraged a lot of people. That's what I can say. But if it can be revisited and looked at, as was being discussed today, I think they will look at that.
So what would be the procedure? I just go and announce, look, I'm customary married to A or B, and
no, but then what happens is that you are supposed to bring somebody from the family, both sides, like witnesses. Even the ordinance, there are witnesses, 2 from your side, 2 from the man's side. You know, so it works. So the traditional marriage too, if you are registering 4 wives, that one you can marry 20, traditional marriage. You can marry as one. So everyone want to register 2 from your side, 2 from the woman's side. And if you have to divorce too, it goes. Then it will be recognized that he was married. So that at death, intestate, it can be claimed that, oh, I was married to this one, so I'm also coming for the property. Because when in polygamous marriage, the family doesn't like you, they'll pretend they don't even know you. That's some of the bad side of it too. So that law, that piece of law is so good. But I think the procedure and the practice and the registration was a little bit cumbersome for the people. So maybe we should revisit it and see whether we can also
simplify.
And make it work. Because today it was being talked about. And now that you've also mentioned it, I think we should look at it again.
Well, I think anybody watching us now, if you've done the customary marriage, you should be pushing your husband now to go and get legal. Because indeed, when the man passes away, it just gets complicated.
Oh, yeah, it's getting nasty at times.
You know,
especially at 3, 4, oh goodness. You can imagine.
It gets too complicated. So everybody should get it. Get their marriages. One man, one wife. You know, one chief, one queen. I would answer one chief, one queen. Don't worry.
We like that. If the chief supports it, the people will follow it.
You see now.
Because you are the custodian of the
people. One is too much anyway. So one is too much.
Get 2. complicated.
With all these bills mounting up. Gone are the days when we had free sheep and free land and everything.
Now,
today, it's not like that. But I want to say thank you very much. It's been educative. And as I always do, from now till the 26th of March, L routes are leading to Edumasa. Our own Seth Kwame Boateng becomes Abakoma Hene of Edumasa. Awodanswa gets introduced to Edumasa. It's my 5-year anniversary since I became chief. There's a library to be handed over. There's a school to be officially outdoored. I mean, it's just an amazing event. You don't want to miss it. All the chief, Togbe 3 of Anglo is going to be there. Nana Kwafu Akoto the 3rd, Afrakuma the 2nd of Akwamu are all going to be there, and it's a day that you don't want to miss. So I'm sure all my camera crew are coming to Edumasa, and I'm sure I'm extending invitation to all my guests. Auntie Edna, you'll be coming to Edumasa too.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're back to do this all over again, and thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
You're welcome.